Greetings, I'm Barrett and welcome to Meet Me at the Table. Today, we're going to be doing a quick, well, maybe not so quick, unboxing of Grimcoven. This is Awaken Realms' newest game. This is a 1 to 5 player boss battle using a dice placement mechanism. So it's really an interesting combination to in a boss battle to be able to perform your actions and be able to attack and things of that nature. Now, I did a prototype playthrough back during the GameFound crowdfunding time, and because of that, Awaken Realms has sent me an all-in pledge, so I do want to thank them for giving me the opportunity to do this unboxing and also some content for you of Grimcoven, so you can see what the game is and see if it's something you might want to pick up as the game comes to potentially like a retail market of some kind. In this game, we're going to be taking on the roles of the hunters, and our hunters are going to be out trying to take on the griefbound in this gothic, kind of a horror-y style area. So let's see what is inside this core box. And of course, since it's an all-in pledge, it's not just that. We've got acrylic tokens, we've got ourselves some terrain pieces, we've got Forgotten Entities, which gives us more griefbounds. We also have a hunters expansion that gives us more hunters. Look at all this stuff. And let's not forget there's tons and tons of playmats that we get to unbox as well. And if that's not all, we also have a bag full of awesomeness. We have personal stories that's going to make each one of our hunters unique. We have an art book that can show us the art of this game. We have a thank you letter. We also have the companion system as well. And to top it all off, we have an entire box of Awaken Guard card protectors. Now, if you're excited to see all of this unboxed, then I need you to meet me at the table. The first thing I want to show off is the player mats, or also I should say the enemy mat. This is what that is. This is where we're going to be placing all the stuff for our enemies during the game. It does have the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, which tells us exactly kind of the order in which to activate all this stuff. The first part is going to be our event step, followed by the minion step. After that, we have our elite step, followed by the griefbound, which is going to be over here, and then we're going to have our time track as the final thing we're going to be using. So it's kind of neat that they have those on there, and then of course you just place all the components for those out on this mat, and they're all set to go. So if you're wondering how much table space this part of the game takes up, there you go. Our players, on the other hand, are going to be taking up about this much space on the board. Now, of course, this could change based on what if you actually use these mats or not. You could put these spaced out in different areas, but for our player mat, we have where we're going to be putting all of the hunters things, starting of course with the main hunter dashboard. Then we'll also have a place for all our weapons, our armor, and also the different abilities that we're going to be able to gain as you go through this, because you'll be at some point potentially becoming corrupted, and you'll be able to gain some new abilities for your characters. All right, those are the playmats. Let's move on to the main box here. This thing is pretty huge. I mean, this is a big box. So we'll see if we can get all the stuff in camera for you to see. We'll take off the lid and show you what's inside. The first thing we have is all of our punch boards, followed by a welcome to Grimcoven, which is a kind of a learn to play guide that you can play through. This will actually help you through, like, I think 1 or 2 turns of the game, and then you can finish off that. And then after that, you can move into the actual game. And here's the rule book that is there as well. And it does show where the miniatures in this game are going to go. And yes, this is the miniature version. I'm not sure if they made a standee version for this. If they didn't, I apologize for even saying there was one. This is the miniature version. So this is where all of them are going to go. Also, if you're interested in more content on Grimcoven, please go check out my friends over at Dicing with Death. They do a fantastic job. I think they've already gotten unboxing and some playthroughs up already, so please go check it out. They're super fun to watch, and they have so much fun playing board games. I'll put a link to their channel in the description of this video. Our first punch board is going to have part of the world. These are all going to be different things, and the cool thing about this game is the game is going to have a different layout depending on whatever mission you're choosing. It's not just the same board. You're going to have a different layout completely, and they're going to have different tiles, and they're going to be coming with these numbers and letters to show you which ones to be placed out. Here again are those 1 through 5 steps that you can place down, but of course they are on the playmat if you wanted to use them. This right here is just one of the environmental tokens that could potentially help or hinder the players as they go through this. They are double-sided, but I think they're kind of the same. This one's not, but some of the other ones are the same. Nope, that one's not either. This one's water. Okay, so they are actually double-sided, and they're actually a little bit different. This one's a forest, and this one's a swamp. So it's cool that they have double sides. They can be used in multiple things. Super cool. As you can can see by them just falling out, they're going to be nicely easy to punch out. We have, again, some more tiles for the actual game. These right here are going to be our hunger tokens. We'll talk about those potentially later. Then we have, again, some more. They are different on the back. I do like that they actually labeled it hunger. Now, unlike some of the other statuses tokens we'll be seeing, hunger is technically not something that's going to be affecting your character when you gain it. It's something that could affect it based on certain cards that are drawn throughout the game. So that's just one of the status effects that we're going to be having, along with some of the terrain pieces. Here again are more terrain, another environmental piece. These are going to be our our burn tokens. These are burn tokens. And this is a set of just normal actions that you can do: run, sprint, defense, cleanse, and assist. Those are specific basic actions you can do. And this particular one is used for the deputy board. If you play solo, I believe you get a deputy that you can play with. Otherwise, you're going to actually be controlling multiple hunters if you decide to. As you can see, this space is exactly for a dice. You can place dice there and use those slots. We have, again, some more tiles for the game. Then down here, we have our stun tokens, our boss's busy token, and then we also have our first player token on this map. And just to show the other side, so you can see that they have some different art on both sides for a lot of the terrain. That's pretty awesome. Again, environmental things down here that we can use, and I'll show you kind of as you play through it. There are specific cards that you're going to be potentially putting out there, or it might be a random set of cards that are going to tell you what environmental things to put down that, like I said, could be good or bad for our hunters as we go through the game. We'll continue on. We have a whole bunch of stuff here. Starting with our armor tokens, they come in 2s and 4s, and if you ever take damage, you have to use all of it. You can never just gain back part of it. So for example, if I had 4 defense, I took 1 damage, I couldn't say, okay, I'm going to absorb 4, but I'll take back a 2 and only use and you only use it a little bit. No, once you use it, you use it. We also have some of our bullet tokens, which are in the center here. These are all the different types of damage tokens. These right here are treasure tokens. I know that was pretty tough to figure out for that one. The other ones, these right here, a lot of these other tokens right here are going to be used for specific hunters. We have white and black wings, and I believe they are dual-sided again, white and black on both sides. This one right here is kind of cool. This is like it's like a sword or something this guy has. It's called the Cravings tokens, and I believe it's for one of the specific hunters that's kind of like a tank or a big damage dealing type character, and he uses these cravings, which is gonna be kind of cool. I don't know exactly how this all works. I haven't tried that guy. He wasn't part of the prototypes. I don't know anything about him. We also have personality tokens, which are used for a specific hunter as well. And again, on both sides, this one at least tells you a little bit: mage, commander, soldier, messenger. And these treasure tokens, you're gonna find them, flip them over, and gain what is on the back of the token. The next thing we have is, again, another, this one I think is kind of cool. This is I bet this might be an actual place on the map where something might be happening. Some of the places you have are going to have specific areas where you're going to be able to put down where a whole area is something that is affecting the board. But all right, we also have some more places for our that again our characters can interact with. These are different torture devices or swarm devices or things of that nature. We have all the different companion standees down here. These, I believe, are going to be our health dials that we're going to have to put together for our characters. Here's just some of the characters that we have. We have the mannequin and the death jester. Those are specific hunter tiles that are going to go onto the hunter board. These are the elite level tokens, so based on whatever level you are, it shows you kind of what you're going to have to do or how much damage they're going to do or you're going to do them. Over here are going to be curse tokens. Let's see what's on the back. Of course, what I haven't talked about yet is that your characters, as they fight, are going to be potentially gaining corruption. And if they become corrupted, they're going to flip to the other side, and their stats and things are going to change, and what they can do are going to change slightly. On top of that, if they get too corrupted, they could eventually just become part of the enemy and actually start fighting you, which is kind of interesting. So we don't want that. That would be super, super bad. We're going to continue on here with the rest of these. These are going to be for our Griffbound level tokens. Depending on what level you're going to use those particular places for the cards that you're going to put down, and I'll show you a little bit about that as we go through the game. These are our lament tokens up on the top, and these are lament rifts. These are going to be one way to help us decide where enemies go. And then we have specific quest tokens that we can use in this. And of course, all these green ones down here are environmental type tokens. So that is all of the punch boards. Lots of fun stuff there. And again, we have where our miniatures are going to go. We have hunt sheets down here. These, I believe, are going to be able to tell us if, or we can check off which ones we have been able to complete, I think is what these are going to be able to do. There is like a special spot in the, right here. After winning all the grief-bound scenarios, go to the epilogue script page 32 in the rulebooks. There is a final like thing to read if you're able to fully complete the game, which is kind of cool. We'll have to try to do that and see if we can do it. If it's as hard as it was during my prototype, this is definitely a challenging game, and it really makes you think about how to act in this game. We have the Convergence Hunt Book, the Devourer Hunt Book, the Swarm Mistress Hunt Book, the Graveyard Dragon, the Undead General, the Torment Hunt Book. Now, these are all the different grief bounds, and what you're going to find inside them is a little bit about the rules and how to set them up, the scenarios that you're going to go through, what tiles you're going to need, how to place them out there, and what type of cards you're going to need, and what enemies you're going to be using for that particular grief bound scenario 1. Then we have one for like scenario 2 and so on. That's about all I want to show on that. And of course, each one of them has their own like that. They're all going to have their own way of setting up the game. Here's our undead, for example. Was it the Undead General, I think? The Undead General Hunt Book is right here. This, again, is going to tell you how to lay things out. It might tell you that these are the specific things, but this is kind of a question mark. It can be any one you want that goes on there. It has some ways of defeat and victory, how that all works. From what I understand, this game is one is a standalone missions. There's not like a campaign. You can kind of have a quasi-campaign by like defeating this general over and over by defeating scenario 1, 2, 3, 4, and kind of make it your own. But each one of these scenarios is a standalone specific mission that you get to go on. Here we have our grief bounds, and we have some of our, these are the grief bounds, and these are going to be some of the other hunters that we have. And on top of that, we have the actual hunter dashboard, and some of the hunters are already in there. We have the Technomancer, the Duality, the Gunslinger, and the Keepers, and then an empty one. The Keeper is the one that was using the Devour, the sword one that I showed you. The Gunslinger uses the bullets. The Duality is the one that uses the different white and black wings. And the Technomancer uses a specific set of couple dice that they have. They get a couple extra dice that they can use that the other ones don't. Explaining a little bit what you see right here is a place to put our dice again if we want to use them to run, sprint, use tactics, or cleanse. If you're given assist by another character, you put a token there that allows you to use something, allows you to use the assist. This right here, like I said, does come out, so other ones can go in there. That is a reusable area there. This right here is where you're going to put any of your armor. This is your health points right here. This is your corruption track. And of course, as you unlock certain parts, you're going to be able to gain new abilities that you're going to be able to use for your specific hunter that you have here. On top of that, you do have a tactics position here where I believe this token is going to allow you to reroll a die at some point. And all the boards are exactly the same except for the color that they have on top. So you have yellow, purple, blue, green, and white. So you can choose whichever ones you want. I don't believe any of them are specific to a specific hunter. It's your preference what you want to use. Now, of course, every hunter is a little bit different. This one, for example, has 2 speed and 12 health, and it has an action to discard one of the dice to choose to either move one or set one to a chosen side. You can use that specific symbol. I believe that's on one of the Technomancer's dice. The next one we have is going to be Duality. Duality has a little bit more health and allows you to resolve an action only when using a blue die to gain a white, or to get a black die to gain a black, and you can discard a white and black to restore one discarded die at any time. So that's how this particular character operates. The Gunslinger is all about preparing and forging bullets. They're going to be able to deal more damage as they go through. And the Keeper gets the cravings from that Hunter's Call here. You can put a die here to move and restore, or on a 1 to 3, I get to deal damage. And this right here shows range values, so the range of 0, so that's to be in the square that he's in, or he can, on 4 or 5, he can deal 2 damage. He has that ability. And we got, of course, the blank one right here. And this is where you would flip to your corrupted side, giving you the extra bonuses on the back of this card. So, for example, this person would gain even more damage down here on a 5 instead of just having to do 4 through 5, dealing 2. It gets that ability to do this. And after you flip, you can choose to 1 heal 4 or gain 5 towards that craving sword, I believe is what that is. So when you kill, you get craving. That's pretty awesome. They gave it 1 craving or move. So different ways to gain craving depending on what side you're on. He does only move 1 speed after all. He's kind of slow. All right, those are the player boards. We're going to set those aside. And here's the them again, Death Jester, the Mannequin. We saw those two, the Keeper, the Gunslinger. These are all the non-cardboard ones. They're just pieces of paper, but it does have more abilities that you can use in these. I think these are going to be when they are your deputies, which means you'd be using them as a second character, but in a more stripped down version of them when you're playing solo. We have 36 different Grimcoven status cards. These are going to tell us, first off, right up here is going to be the turn sequence. So you're going to start, then you're going to do a special. Next turn you do spawning monsters, then you do a stage and special stage. So it kind of moves through different aspects of the game. Of course, some cards may change this or maybe rotate you in the other direction or skip one or something, who knows. Then it does have a special ability down here, and it shows when you roll its die, this is what's going to happen based on if it has that particular thing activating at the time. And there's all different kinds. There's multiple convergences because, of course, this is the convergence for scenario 1. This is for number 2. Notice there's 2 specials now, a spawn, a stage. So it's going to do this twice. It's going to probably deal more damage as you're going because, of course, these become harder and harder as you go through this. You have Swarm Master, the Undead General, and then these are interesting. These, if your character actually gets too corrupted, they could actually, like I said, turn into one of the enemies. So here's the Technomancer Pretender, which means they would be one of the enemies now that you could fight, which is kind of cool. So you could actually, if your guy died, you'd be like, oh, we're gonna go take him on, and you can go take on them, or the Duality, or the Gunslinger. And they've got the rest of everything, a great Devourer, the Dragon, the Tormentor, and then we have some of course, our characters here at the end of those as well. So those are the Griefbounds. And they are going to go into this area here, which again is shown right here. You just have this thing down here on the board, and you have your Griefbound up here, and anything else it's going to have over on the side over here. So like I said, this is all going to fit out onto that board. And right here, you do see the different cards. You're going to be placing down the stage deck. You're also going to be placing down the attack deck here. And this is going to be the next turn, and this turn, and then discard. So you're always going to kind of know what the enemy is going to do. And the cool thing about this game is you can actually hurt this enemy by destroying its attack card. So if you're able to take this card out, it's not going to do anything, and it's going to slide the next one over for the next turn. Or it might do something beneficial for you to be able to take these all out. It'll give you something good for actually taking it out. So that's just the small board, but of course it'll just fit onto this board if you want to. Or if you don't have the table space for all of this stuff, you could put different things in different areas, just as long as you remember to keep putting these particular tokens next to them to know when to activate each one of those as you go through. Now, of course, we have our miniatures, which are sun-dropped by Awaken Realms sun-dropped abilities here. The enemies are red. We are the gray ones up here. Let's take a look at some of these. So, for example, we have, this is going to be that Gunslinger miniature you found. Some great work on that. And now I'll tell you right now, I do know from experience that if you do like to paint miniatures and you decided to get the sun-drop version of these, you can paint on top of this. You can actually paint right on that if you want to kind of give it a little bit of color. And if you don't think that this is enough color for you, you can totally do that. The Gunslinger, of course, can get corrupted and turn into this guy here. He's got multiple hands with multiple guns now. He becomes the, I guess, ultimate gunslinger. He could become that. Let's see some of the other cool looking ones. Where's the one with the giant sword? I want to see him. Is that this guy? Is that this guy with the giant sword here? He's got a sword. He's got lots of swords. I don't know what this guy's got going on. We'll put him back. Let's see here. This person looks awesome because look at all the blue they've got in there. That looks really, really cool. I think that looks amazing. I love how even the arms start turning blue. I think that's great. This is Duality. When Duality turns into its corrupted form, oh, it gets all of its wings. It's pretty awesome looking. And then Duality without the corruption is right here. This is Duality without the corruption. That's the one right there. Let's see here. Then we can look at some of these enemies. These are going to be a lot of the minions you're going to see out here. Like, for example, here's one of the minions. I apologize, I don't know the names. We'll get to the names as we go through this because, of course, they do have cards and things that you can see, so you can see what they all are. Let's see if I can get them to go back in there. There you go. Perfect. They push in there. Here's another one. This guy's got a big giant spear. He's going to throw it at you, probably across the board. It's going to cause pain and sadness. They do have elite enemies. I think these are some of the elite enemies you're going to be finding out there, which are going to have more health. And if you defeat them, better things happen. We do have a few extra tokens in here. These are bases for your characters. And these are the different corruption markers we're going to place onto our track so we can move these up our corruption track as we go. We're going to lift out our miniature thing here and put this aside. And next we're going to be able to look at all the different cards that come along with this game. Not to mention there's also a bunch of dice as well. Oh boy, look at all this stuff. Now, before we dig into that, I do want to say that there was this bag that came with the all-in pledge. This bag does actually hold a whole bunch of unique dice, like upgraded dice for these. So these are going to upgrade those there. And these are going to upgrade the green dice for the green character. Whichever board was using green is going to use that one. This is the purple one. There's ones for each colors of these. And there's even the one for the Techno in here as well. For the Technomancer, if we decide to use him, that's got a set of dice in there too. So I'm going to put these aside, but just know that it did come with a full set of extra dice that are a little bit more cool looking, I guess you could say. Now, when I do a playthrough of this, I'll probably still use these dice because they're just going to be easier to read for the playthrough itself, but these dice look super cool. As we continue, you're going to see there's lots of places to put some of the tokens that we're going to gain as we go through it. These right here, these are bases for those different environmental pieces we saw out there, and for also the, I think that's all they're for. These are for putting our health trackers together. These are going to be either universal markers or they're unique ones for the characters that are going to be able to use their assist, is what those tokens are for. We'll put that aside. These are going to be the grief bounds down here. These guys are out of control. Here's the undead general. This guy, oh, look amazing. Look at this. This guy looks absolutely astonishing. He's so good. Look, look at all that. He's got all this stuff going on. That's so good. Let's see what else we got here. Let's move these dice. Those dice are actually pretty heavy. Oh, there's lots of stuff in here protecting this stuff. That's fantastic. Oh, we've got a altar, it looks like, of some kind. That's pretty cool. Put that back in there. Then let's see. Oh, look at this guy. This guy's got a huge like bell that he carries around. Or it's not even a bell, it's like a meat grinder or something. Nothing I want to get hit by. I don't want to get hit by that. That's for sure. This is the dragon, undead, the dragon that we saw as part of the grief bounds that you can fight, which is pretty cool. Put that one back in there. So that is just a few of the miniatures. I think you can see the rest of them in the box. Bring out a few more. Here's, I don't even know what that is. The Devourer, probably. That's something else. Then we have, this is the, oh, let's get this guy out of here. Here's this one. This one looks pretty sweet. Again, each one of these is going to be a completely unique fight when you fight them. They're going to have their own way of activating. They're going to have their own card system. And of course, just like you saw those other dice I pulled out, there's a massive amounts of dice in here. Now, these are not colored for specific people. These are just colored for the type of dice that it is. And each one of these does have specific symbols on it that you have more often than are going to see versus others. And each character is going to have their own unique dice they start with. And then you can upgrade your characters to gain certain types of dice that are going to hopefully benefit you in the way you're going to play your character. We'll bring out some of these. This first off is going to be any of the card dividers that we have for our game. Corruption. We'll have to look through these and see what all this is. We do have some portals that are going to be out on the board as well that we can move through, and maybe even the enemies can move through them, which would be bad. They can come and sneak attack you. Roar, sneak attack. All right, put those back in there. There's quite a bit of those. And then we have an astronomical amount of cards. And since it's the one shot, I don't mind showing off some of the stuff. And I'm not going to show a whole bunch of cards, but at least showing you a little bit of the cards in here and what exactly they do and how they work. The first set of cards I have are all the different evolution cards that our characters can go through. For example, these are the Technomancers. Technomancer. We've got our Gunslingers. We've got all the different duality. We've even got all the kind of extra characters as well, like the Mannequin, the Death Jester. These are all super cool. I think the characters look really, really neat. So let's quickly look at a few of these. Let's grab some of the Gunslinger here ones. Okay, so when you do get to parts of that track that you're able to unlock new cards, then you're gonna be able to draw some and figure out which ones you want. And then once you decide you have those, that gives you an extra spot to be able to put your dice. Once you're able to place these dice based on what it tells you what dice can be placed there, you're gonna gain the specific advantage that this has. Headshot, I could put an attack dice there and a regular one to deal 1 damage in the weapon range, body part, head, deal 3 damage instead. That's probably a headshot, good stuff. And the boss is going to have specific places that it's attack cards are supposed to be hit in. For example, the body or the head. And if the person had the head up, this would be a good time to take a shot at it with him. What else does he have here? Monster Hunter once per game. A Griffbound card kill. You may forge a bullet in an empty spot, or as a passive during the evolution. If you choose an evolution card with a bullet slots, forge 1 bullet slot. So he gains you some extra bonuses there. We also have, for example, let's see if we can get on Duality. Is going to be another one. Let's see what kind of card she has for healing touch. You can choose a character in your spot to heal 2. You may discard a white wing to increase the range of the action by 2. And then she's able to perform actions to get those wings back, which is kind of cool. Absorb light, this or this, to discard all defense from an enemy within 1 or 0 or 1 of you and gain 2 for each one that you discarded. That'd be fantastic. So it's just kind of cool that they all have these different evolutions that they can go through. And like I said, there's an absolute ton of them for each of the characters. Huge stack of awesome cards for our guys. Also, when you go into the area, you're going to be able to bring with you a weapon and an armor, and each person has a different weapon and armor that they can bring in, or something that goes along with their particular character. For example, our Technomancer could bring one of 3 different ones in, and gives different, again, places to place dice to do different things. It also tells you exactly what type of dice you're going to be bringing into the fight, and you can upgrade those, gain more of those dice, I should say, when you evolve as well. If you choose, I believe, not to take a card, you could choose to evolve and gain more dice instead. There's a different armor for our enemy or person as well, bringing again certain dice based on what you decide to take in to the actual battle of the game. So that is our Technomancer. We also have like the Death Jester, and everybody does have, I believe, like 3 different ones they can take for their characters here. The Hunter, oh, he only has 1. That kind of makes sense. It's his sword. He brings in his sword. That makes total sense. But he has 5 different armor he could choose from. 5 different armor. So it all depends on what he wants to bring in. I wonder which dice is sword. Sword only brings in 3 dice. Okay, so those are pretty much all the stuff for our characters. Now, of course, as we go through the game, we might complete quests or are told to draw certain secret cards. Here's secret cards. Some of these could be weapons or armor as well as we go through the game, or they could be bad things. They could be detrimental status effects that we're going to have to deal with for the entire battle. I'm not sure. They're secret. I don't want to look at those. There are events specific for the enemies, and there's also generic events as well. For example, here is one of the ones, Shiny Friend. If there's no Griefbound attack card in the next turn slot, discard this event. Otherwise, place 1 random treasure token on the next Griefbound attack card. When the card with this treasure token is killed, place that token in the Griefbound space. We can gain more treasure. That's pretty awesome. Another one is here, Iron Skin. I'm going to place a lament in 1 lament in Lament Rift 8. Griefbound gains 2 defense for each hunter in their line of sight. So it might not be a turn where we'll fight the guy. And for each enemy within 1 within 1, it is 1. See, 1 to 1 actually does just mean 1. From the Griefbound gains 2. If you're fighting the Graveyard Dragon, you're going to gain all of these. So these are all specific cards for either you, for the enemies, or they could be generic ones as well. I think these are the ones for them. And speaking of them, here is all the attack cards the enemies can have. And they're going to tell you to take certain amounts of cards for the particular battle you decide to have. And these attack cards even have the ones that have to do with our characters turning into bad guys as well. They're in here as well for this. The opportunity one, here there. Here's for our characters, I believe. No, these are opportunity cards. Those are something different. I apologize. They should be in here. I know they had some for us in here. Oh, here we go. For Gunslinger. So you can actually fight the Gunslinger if you want. So here's like a couple of the attack cards for example, the General. We have like 4 different ones here, and you're going to draw out different ones, and you're going to have these out here. So for example, this, if you attacking him and hit him in the torso, if you had something that had to do with the torso, that would actually do something for it. If you're able to take out this body part card, if you destroyed him, you're going to destroy this card, you're going to gain lament equal to that, and then everybody else is going to gain that. And it could be 3-1, 3-1, it could be 3-2, stuff like that. This one, for example, if it's out there when it's turn to activate, it's going to do all of these things. If it's focused, each minion is going to deal 1 damage to each hunter that's on in the same square as it. And the focus, from what I understand, is a card that does not have any damage on it. So if it's you want to actually at least hit these somehow in order to do some kind of damage to these. And then, of course, as you're whittling down this deck, you're going to bring the monster closer and closer to death until it finally has no cards in its deck, and then it's going to be at its final attack. And we have different final attacks for each person here, and it'll tell you in the specific mission that you're doing which one to use. For example, it might say we want you to put Bloodbath as the last final attack card. So put that in there. When you reach that point in the game, it kind of shifts a little bit. There isn't one of the lose conditions is if your grief or if your hunter dies. Once you get to that particular part where you're fighting the final attack card, then you know if one person dies, you just keep going because you're really trying to take this guy out with everything you've got, and you just have to deal the amount of damage to kill this thing. And if you're able to do enough damage to kill it, it still might not die. Then you have to roll, and you have to roll a specific sign on a die. Then you finally kill it, or it could lose some of its level, making it easier for it to attack again and try to kill it And so it's kind of cool that it could potentially die in one big fell swoop, or it might take some more and more attacks to be able to kill the thing. I think that's kind of a neat system that it has. So those are the enemy attack cards. Now we'll talk about the opportunity cards. Those I kind of brought up for a second. They actually do go with the attack cards a little bit. So for example, it'll tell you what opportunity card you're going to have out there. This opportunity card is going to sit underneath one of the attack cards. And if you get rid of the attack card, then when it comes to its turn, it's going to do its opportunity, which is probably going to be bad for you, but it's also something you might have to deal with. On a Griffbound card kill, roll a die. So if we kill it, we roll this die. Do not refill the attack track. Each hunter 0 to 1 may kill one chosen minion or discard one chosen banner, or all hunters in one gain defense. So they are kind of, that one particular is helpful to you, and most likely, now that I think about it, they are going to be helpful because your goal is to remove those cards, the attack cards. So if you're able to kind of take advantage of a good opportunity. We do have some cards that are kind of specific to enemies that attack. Also, we have some that are attack, but specific to a Griefbound. That's a couple of those kind of cards. Then we also have the stage cards. All of our Griefbounds are going to have their own stage cards that they're going to be using. It'll tell you in the book which ones to use. Most of the time, it's going to tell you to use them all. And so when it tells you to draw one, you're just going to draw it and flip it over. Level up the Griefbound, and each elite enemy replace the minion card with this one. On a kill on the closest enemy without defense, gains 2 defense. Activation. Oh, these are bad. All this is bad. Resolve. There's a hunter within 0 to 3. Spearhead. Move 2 to attack the hunter. Roll 3 with 3 dice. Otherwise, Javelin Throw, move 2 and attack 1 hunter. Woofda, it's about the general shieldman. And this is what the dice is going to do when you roll it. So based on when you roll 3, you're going to look at what it does, and those are what they're going to do. The stage cards are bad. They're bad. You want to try to, if you can try to set yourself up to not have to deal with a stage card, that's usually pretty good. Of course, they're going to happen, but you're going to do what you can. This is an interesting deck. This is the Death Jester deck. This is for your Death Jester. What this does is that you're going to draw these cards out of here. Remember how the Gunslinger had bullets, the other one, the Duality, had the white and black wings, and so on. This is the trick, or not trick, but the uniqueness of the Death Jester, is she gets these cards. You're going to draw different cards, and based on what you have, you're going to be able to check this to see what you can do with them. And you can also check her ability boards and all the cards that she gets with her abilities to be able to play these certain cards down to do things. I think that's really neat for a character to be able to do something like that. It's a little bit random, being drawing cards, but that's cool. When you do start a mission, it'll tell you to draw one of these. For example, it tells us to draw a minion. We draw this minion. We have assassins. Now, every minion that comes out, unless told otherwise, is going to be this assassin. And you're going to activate it really fast. When it comes to their activation, you're going to do what this tells you, and then it's going to be done. There's meant to be quick, fast actions, and they're also and kind of a nuisance. But of course, if they all gang up on you, eventually that's going to be bad, and you could end up dead. Now, minions all only have 1 health, so it's pretty easy to get rid of them. But again, you don't want to focus too much time on the minions, because you also have to focus on the boss and the elite minions that are out, elite enemies that are out there as well. So it's kind of it's a neat puzzle to try to figure out what you need to take out, how you're going to take it out, if it's worth taking out while you're playing the game. Now, during the game, you're going to be drawing corruption cards as the game goes forward. Every time it's the end of your turn, you're going to draw corruption. And based on the number of your corruption, you're going to have to deal with this. So if you have corruption 0 to 4, I gain in 2 defense or discard 2 status tokens. Otherwise, if I have 5 to 15, I'm going to exchange up to 3 status tokens for hunger tokens, because when those aren't good. If you don't, gain 2 burn. You gain 2 hunger and a burn, and burn is going to be damage that you're going to be taking over time. Hunger, move 1. Thirsting, if you're thirsting, move 1 towards the closest space with lament for each hunger you have. Then take the lament, you if you reach it. Otherwise, take 1 damage for each hunger you have, and for each damage taken, discard a hunger. So there's different things you're going to be doing, and you're going to check how much of the corruption you have and just do what's on the card. So another cool, super cool thing. So you want to get corruption because it can do cool things for you, but it can also do bad things to you as well. We do have environmental cards based on landmarks, also different terrain in swamps, things like that. So for example, here is the coffins. We did see some of those. If you're on one of the coffin places, then you can on any coffin space, I can discard one of these 2 particular dice to be able to resolve this down here. Maybe it can draw a random secret card 40 minutes, something's going to help us, or maybe it's a bad guy inside the coffin. We don't know. For example, here's another one, a pile of skulls. We'll have to put the pile of skulls down. You can interact with it and roll the die. You either get some good things or bad things. You're never going to know. Then we have stuff for environment here. For example, the sunken village is there. We can do something with that. And it'll tell you when to place these cards out or how to place them when you go to set up your game. The next thing we have is some of these larger cards. The larger cards are going to be our elite enemies. And it tells you on the back how to activate your elite enemies. And I think they're all the same when it comes to activations. Yes. So if you're not sure how to activate them, you can just look at one of the other ones to activate it. This is, for example, the Alchemist. This might be like a level 1 character or level 2 character. I'm not exactly sure the order of these, but there are 3 different elites. It might tell you to draw a specific elite or to draw a random elite for your mission that you're going on. So there's what looks like 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of elites, and then we have all of our different cards that are going to help us. These are our player aids. There are 2 different player aids, front and back, both saying different things that can help you with figuring out what the tokens mean or how to go through your turn. Also showing you what specific symbols are on the dice. So if you're not sure if you want that die when it comes to your level up, you can choose, okay, wait, I need an attack die. Okay, I want this one because it gives me lots of different attacks. I don't want this one, it's going to be almost no attack. So at least you know what you're getting into when you decide what dice you're trying to get. So those are the help cards, and there is one final card which is kind of interesting. This is an upgrade, I think a special card thing that happened. The way this card is used, this is another elite enemy. It only comes on the board when you place this into the deck, and it actually comes up because if you have 8 to 13 in your corruption, if there are already 2 elites in the game, I gain 2. Otherwise, I spawn a random renegade and hunter enemy. So here comes your renegade hunter enemy. It's a way to get something else into the game. That doesn't sound like a good thing to be on the game. It's going to kill you. Now, I believe that's everything from the core box. So let's take a look at some of the other things that this game has in store. The next thing I thought we'd take a look at is some of the terrain. Now, this is going to be replacing some of the cardboard terrain that is in the game. This is our terrain box here. Oh my gosh, look at some of these things. These are absolutely awesome. These are going to replace those, some of the pieces of, like, for example, here's a stagecoach. It's going to replace that stagecoach that you'd normally put out as a cardboard piece. Now you can put this out here. It has the well. Here's the well as I drop it. Oh, good thing these are made pretty sturdy. There's the well right there. Those are the coffins that, remember we saw a card about the coffins? Here are the 3 different coffins that we'd be able to put out onto the board. Here's the skulls. This is the pile of skulls that we might find at some point. And I love the fact that they kind of have this red translucent that kind of is kind of the theme of the game as you go through it. These are some of the mountains that are going to block certain parts of the visibility and line of sight. Here's the treasure chest we're going to be able to place out on the board. So here's just a few of the different pieces of terrain that we have access to that we're going to place out there, then we can interact with during the game. So that is the terrain pack. It's one of the things that comes with the all-in pledge. Next, we have the acrylic pack. This is going to replace, again, some of the tokens in the game. So we have, it looks like, the different curse tokens, burn tokens, and all the stun tokens are going to be in here. On top of that, it looks like we have some of the ones specific for some of our characters. Like here's the duality's wings are in here. I wonder if they have bullets. So here's the black wings. We have the armor pieces as well for our characters. We have some of the, here's the bullets for our gunslinger. So it does have some of the, oh, look at this. This is that sword. Oh, I so much want to play that guy just because of this. Look at how cool that thing is. Oh my gosh, it's awesome. All right, that's super cool. Here, I believe are going to be the tokens you use for the assists. I could be wrong. This could be for something else. This might be for one of the characters. I apologize if I'm not sure exactly what that is. So these are just going to replace, here's the lament tokens. These are going to be used for experience kind of in a way. So we have all the different components here that are normally cardboard are now going to be acrylic with the acrylic pack. Next we have our companions. These are going to be part of just, again, another cosmetic for the game. Here are the companions right here. They're just going to have miniatures now instead of these standees that you saw in the game itself. So we have all the different companions, or even the cards I should say. So you're going to have these little companions that you can place out on the board. So that again is just a cosmetic thing for the game. Moving into some of the gameplay components, this is actually going to be stuff you can use in the game. It changes it. This is going to be the Forgotten Entities. What this is going to be able to do is add some more Grimcoven people to us. For example, we got the Sturgia and we got the Chimera that we can play against in here. Forgotten Entities, it tells you exactly what's in here and how to incorporate it into your game. And it does tell us that these are not anything that's really going to be changing the game at all. These are just going to be new Grimcoven and, of course, some new places and terrain that we can use. And it says you could just straight up incorporate this into your game if you wish to. So we have a new new track that must be with some of the Grimcoven here that we're going to be able to fight against. We'll have to see how that all works. Here are some of the miniatures in here that you can fight against. There are, looks like, 1 elite and 2 Grimcoven here. This is one of them right here. I don't think this can be an elite. This has to be the, oh, this is one of the 2. This is the, was it the Sturgia? The Striga? I'm terrible at pronunciating words. I do know it's Chimera though. That one I can do. And here it is. This one looks actually pretty neat. It has, oh wow, look, it even has the tail that, oh boy. I'm not a fan of bugs, and it looks like a big, huge, giant bug right through here. Vroom, there it is. Okay, we'll put him away because I don't want to deal with the bugs. Okay, and then, of course, we do have some cards that go along with the expansion. It does look like we get 1 new elite monster that we can use. It also looks like we have the miniature for it right here. This is that guy. He's right here. The miniature we're going to use for this does come with a peg for the, oh, it's for the track. It's going to be for this particular track here. That makes perfect sense. Now, I'm going to go ahead and check. I also look in the book and see exactly how these 2 are going to work. If there's anything super interesting about them compared to some of the other stuff we already talked about. One thing that is a little bit different is the Chimera doesn't have a set of cards that are particular ramp up in difficulty. One thing I didn't talk about is the 1, 2, and 3 star, or 3 bubble, I should say, cards in this. Those are going to tell you what type of cards to add to a deck. So, for example, in fighting this, I might say grab 2 number 4 1 bubbles, 2 2 bubbles, and 3 3 bubbles or something. And then you'd mix those together and make the attack deck in that way. Or it might say put them in a certain order depending on what the scenario actually asks for. This particular deck does not have that. It's just going to say take 7, 10, or 15 cards randomly or something. And so that's interesting compared to the other ones. The other ones all have that. You have to have a certain type of number of cards in there. It must go in like that. There they go. The rest of the cards are something similar. We've seen them before. We've seen secret cards. They do have different types of terrain. Now, again, it does say you could kind of add some of this stuff right to your game if you want to. Event cards. We have the stage cards for those particular enemies. We do have the opportunity cards for those particular enemies and the final attacks for those particular enemies. And then a final act for the Chimera. Yes, that's kind of cool. We'll put all those back into the box. And of course, we have our card dividers as well. So you could keep them in here, or you might be able to add them to the base box. I can't confirm that for sure. These I know you could put in there. There was plenty of room for these, but it was a pretty close to a tight fit to put all those cards back in there. And when we looked at it, when I originally unboxed it, there wasn't a ton of room. I will tell you right now, I'm not guaranteeing that you can sleeve this game and be able to put that all back into that box. I don't think that's going to happen, but if you can, sweet. But again, I'm not exactly 100% sure that that's going to be a thing, but it does show like that all the things for this particular box can all fit right back in here without a problem. Before we move on, of course, they do have their dashboards as well. So they are going to have their different things to do during the time, and of course, what they're going to do to you as you fight. Depending on which one it activates, I'm sure is going to be dealing certain damages for this one. And here we have this character right here. It's got its little abilities here, and it's special. It doesn't tell you what the die does, so maybe it's going to in the cards, which is kind of interesting. All right. Now, one thing I do know about Awaken Realms that I think is pretty amazing is when they do add components to the game, like, for example, these 2 enemies, or later we're going to see 2 hunters, they really make those particular characters and creatures really unique. They don't just kind of play on the same tune over and over again. So I think that's something that's one thing that Awaken Realms does really well, is creates unique content for their games as you play through it. Next, we bring in another gameplay expansion. This is the Hunters expansion. It's going to add 2 new hunters to the game that have assigned the Coven. You can use them, it looks like, as a deputy if you wish to. They do have them also as adversaries that you can take on, which is pretty cool. We do have the Twins, and we also have the Clockwork Giant. These are the 2 different ones we have. And they, of course, can upgrade into the Twins Corrupted and the Clockwork Giant Corrupted as well. The Clockwork Giant, like I've said earlier, when I was talking about how cool they usually make some of the expansion stuff, here is the Clockwork Giant. It does have its own like time thing, and there's a lot of poison tokens to go along with, I'm going to guess, the Twins. I could be wrong. Here are the miniatures that go along with this. The Twins, I believe, are going to be these 2 characters here. I'll bet one is kind of more of a light-sided character, one is more of a dark-sided character. As what I mean by works with the light versus darkness, that's kind of my guess. I could be completely wrong. And of course, putting them together, you're going to get the corrupted version of the Twins right here. Pretty awesome. Then we have the Clockwork guy, him and his corrupted self, and here's the one when he's not corrupted. And again, like I said, I have seen that, and I have firsthand attempted to paint on top of these, and it turns out pretty well. So you can paint on top of these. The characters are going to come with their own stage cards when it comes to making them enemies. Here's all making them enemy cards. Here's the deputy cards if you wish to use them as deputies. Here's going to be all the evolution cards that they can turn into. And there might even be some unique things that these twins can do. The cards themselves just kind of show that the evolution is the same. There is some twin hunter weapons. So twins do have like different types of weapons they can choose from, but there's nothing really that makes that, there's not like a card similar to like the Joker that the one character had a whole deck of cards. There's nothing like that, but they do have the same type of evolution thing where you can, I've noticed a lot of their things have this or that type thing. So it's kind of like kind of gives you that idea of them being 2 separate type of entities moving around the battlefield. The Clockwork person here does have a lot of cool mechanics as well. Then there is, of course, them as bad guys as well, with all the different cards you'd need to use for that. So that is the expansion for the Twins and the Clockwork, was it the Clockwork guy? With Clockwork Giant, that's what it is. So that is I believe the last gameplay addition to the game, but there are, I think, a couple other things as well. This is also a gameplay expansion. This is the personal stories. What this particular expansion is going to do is give you the ability to kind of enhance your characters and learn more about them. So these are going to be blocked cards that are not going to start and be available to you. As you play through the game, you're going to be able to learn about the different hunters that you have. And as you go through this, you can unlock some of these cards. For example, here is our level 1 entry. We can read through this. And right here, it'll say at the end of the hunt phase, each of your weapons and armor actions have a die on them. I can read entry 2. So you're going to continue through this book until you can, and while you're doing that, you're going to unlock cards that you can bring into any of the hunts going forward. It also comes with some bookmarks, so you can bookmark the different parts of the hunters that you are. So say you play at the gunslinger first, but then you don't want to play at the gunslinger for a while. You can mark where you are in that book, and the next turn, say you play the duality and the giant, and then you might want to play at the twins and the technomancers, so you do them. Then you come back to the gunslinger and maybe play at the mannequin, so you have the gunslingers already kind of started some of the quests, so you've been able to unlock some stuff with the gunslinger. Now you can unlock more. So that's how this particular expansion works. I think this is really cool. I love when they do things like that to give yourself some more understanding of who the characters are and what they're doing there and kind of how they came to be. And of course, being able to get some more loot and guns and weapons and stuff and maybe action cards. Not a bad deal to go along with the lore that you learn. The final thing is an art book. I'm not even going to open the art book. It just has some of the art that we've probably already seen almost throughout this entire game as we've been looking through some of the other stuff. But do know that it does come with an art book as well. And there you have it. That is the unboxing of Grimcoven. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell symbol so you know when more content comes out. I will be doing a playthrough of this game, so please stay tuned for that. If you're interested in affecting the game and deciding on how things progress going forward, don't forget to join our Patreon. It's located in the description of this video as well. Those that have joined are located here on the screen. Thank you so much for your patronage. It means the world to me. And like I said, those that are part of the Patreon, I'm going to go ahead and ask them what characters they would like to see me play in this game and what enemy they want me to go after. So that is something that I allow our Patreon supporters to do, is give the ability to affect the games that Colin and I play. On top of that, we do allow them to watch our playthroughs usually about a day or two ahead of time without commercial interruptions. So if you're interested in any of that, please go check out the Patreon, links in the description below. Now, if you had a chance to try Grimcoven, is it something you're interested in? Is it something you're not interested in? I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Don't forget to put what you have to say into the comment section. I'd love to hear from everyone. Again, thank you so much to Awaken Realms for giving me the opportunity to cover Grimcoven on the channel. And to all of you, I hope that you're going to be able to get an idea of what is in an all-in pledge if you're interested in picking one up. Now you know what's there. We are going to be moving into a playthrough of this so you can see how it's played and again, help you decide if it's something you're interested in. Again, thank you so much for watching this unboxing, and if you're excited to see more Grimcoven or anything else that Colin and I have coming up, then I need you to meet me at the table.